Hey gang, it's JC, and this is your Daily Dose for Monday, August 16th, 2010. A cooperative venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Brentwood. Archives top of the page, and the audio available on iTunes. We're available now on your mobile phones too, so check that out. Dave Murray's weather forecast down in the corner, and we continue on with our 15-month paid vacation. By the way, just a little follow-up from last week. Okay, so this summer I've had nothing else to do really except this and sit at the pool. And so I've been in the sun and exposed to chlorine more than at any time, in any period in my life. So the combination of my age and being in the sun all the time and all this chlorine is like turning all of my hair just white, just bleaching it white. So my mother-in-law, who is a cosmetologist, hears me talking about this last week and says, "Oh, well, I can fix that. I can get some of that whiteness, out of your goatee." I was like, "Oh, I don't know how about the idea of dyeing my hair." And then I'm thinking to myself, well, half the people on local TV in St. Louis are dyeing their hair. I mean, Charlie Brennan on Donnybrook, you really think that's his natural hair color? Come on. So I was like, well, so you're just going to take some of the white out? Yeah. Okay, fine. So, of course, she does the procedure, and it turns black. And I show up on camera Friday looking like Zorro. So I'm spending the entire weekend trying to scrub it out and it's sort of getting back to normal. You live and you learn. You got to experiment once in a while. And thank you for all your snide comments, by the way. I'm sure all of you just look perfect. Jay Randolph doing the Cardinal games on Channel 5 for about another 6-7 weeks. How does he hear Mike Shannon sit right next to him and say Colby Rasmus, and John Rooney say Rasmus, and Rick Horton say Rasmus, and John Hewlett over the public address system say Colby Rasmus, and the local sports reporters on TV say Rasmus, and the guys on ESPN say Rasmus, and Tony La Russa says Rasmus, and Colby says Rasmus, and yet somehow, after 2 years, Jay Randolph still says Colby Rasmus. How does that happen? Does anybody know? Last week I was talking about Fast Times at Ridgemont High and how all of these, well, at the time in 1982, unknown actors, with the exception of Phoebe Cates, went on to like great things. Some people knew Phoebe from some of those earlier movies that she had done, but almost everybody else in the movie was an unknown. And everybody goes on to these great things. Well, as fate would have it, Fast Times at Ridgemont High was on over the weekend. And it just dawned on me that I might not have told this story before, but the biology teacher who takes the kids near the end of the movie, takes them into the morgue, and Jennifer and Jason Leigh get sick when they open up the body and everything like that, and Mark Ratner comes along to the rescue. And the weird-looking and weird-acting biology teacher is played by an actor by the name of Vincent Schiavelli. Well, near the end of the movie, they have the big dance at the end of the school year, and this odd biology teacher, played by Vincent Schiavelli, he shows up with his wife, and the wife turns out to be an absolute knockout, big, blonde, giant knockers, and all the guys are like standing there in disbelief. They can't believe that this unbelievable woman is with this weird-looking, weird-acting guy. In fact, one of the students is introduced to her, he shakes her hand, and he won't let it go, and she finally is like, get off of me. Well, anyhow, that actress who plays Vincent Schiavelli's wife in Fast Times at Ridgemont High was named Lana Clarkson. And if that name sounds familiar, that's because that is the woman that Phil Spector was convicted of shooting and killing a couple of years ago. Remember that story? Well, that's her. Also, the actor Vincent Schiavelli in real life was married to actress Elise Beasley. She played Miss DePesto on Moonlighting back in the, 80s, I guess it was, early 90s maybe, on ABC with Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd. And he died a couple of years ago. And the weird thing about this entire story is I knew all of this off the top of my head. I'm not kidding. It's sad. All right, the David Hasselhoff roast last night on Comedy Central. One of the great lines, David Hasselhoff has been known to drink a little bit. And they said, David's liver has turned so black that it's actually dating two of the Kardashian sisters. It's pretty good. Comedy Central is going to be rerunning it now for the next month or so. All right, we got back to school stuff going on right now, and you should be glad you're not Regina Rodi. Regina Rodi was a student in high school at Columbine. and she goes running out the cafeteria when the shooting starts. So then she goes away to school, to college, and guess what she chooses? Virginia Tech. She wasn't on campus yet when the shooting started there. In Switzerland, when you get a speeding ticket on the highway, the fine is calculated based on how much you make a year. So they got this 37-year-old very wealthy guy from Sweden, and they catch him in this $500,000 Mercedes-Benz going 187 miles an hour in a 75 zone. Now, I know all of it's kilometers, but it comes out to be that. It's going 187 in a 75. So his fine, $1.1 million. Don't get any ideas in Rock Hill, by the way. By the way, he said his speedometer was faulty on a brand new $500,000 Mercedes-Benz. I'm so sure. Jersey Shore, record ratings last Thursday night, 5.5 million viewers. God help us all. Nigel Lithgow, the original producer of American Idol, is back now with the show, and he says, in fact, Jennifer Lopez was dropped from being a judge on the show. Apparently the deal was this close, and she just started acting like a diva and making all these ridiculous demands, and so they dumped her. But the funny thing is they're talking to Mariah Carey now, and Mariah Carey is like the worst diva in the world. I have a very good friend who was a writer and worked on the production staff of that VH1 special they did with the divas, the singing divas, and Mariah Carey was on there, and she apparently held up shooting for something like 6 hours because she had to change her jeans 9 times before she finally found a pair of jeans she could sing in. A break. If you're trying to download Pink Floyd albums, guess what? You can't do it right now. The Wall, Animals, Wish You Were Here, not available digitally because they've been pulled from iTunes and Amazon's MP3 store over a contract dispute. Money is the root of all evil today. There's an entire website, I think a couple of websites actually, dedicated to all these pictures of women bending over, and you see their thong, the top of their thong sticking out of the top of their pants. Well, we're not going to have that much longer, apparently, because I'm told now that thongs are out. You know, thongs were great when you got down to business and all she was wearing was the thong. But they were probably not really good beyond that. And yeah, every time you'd bend over, you'd see that, you know. Anyhow, those huge control-top, full-bottomed underwear thingies are in now. They look terrible when your clothes are off, but they look great when your clothes are on. Want to make $100 grand? Not as difficult as you might think. A British prank video website, there was one, called Battlecam, is offering $100 grand to the first person who can get videotape of them, him or her, standing naked in front of President Obama. The owner of the website is a billionaire. He just loves practical jokes. Chris Chambers, do you know that name? You're a big football fan? Wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. So a couple of years ago, a married guy, and he's cheating on his wife with one Stacey Saunders. So at some point he decides to break it off, and Stacey goes berserk, and Stacey starts stalking him and this guy Chris Chambers' wife. In fact, they had to file 11 police reports against Stacey, saying she's following us all over the place. Make her stop. Last summer he got a restraining order against her. Well, the story has a happy ending because Chris Chambers has divorced his wife, and last month he married the stalker. All right. Maybe you met somebody over the weekend, maybe you are single, and you're getting ready for that big first date. And we have now 10 foods to avoid on a first date. Number 1, spaghetti. Messy, unflattering. You know, it basically worked in Lady and the Tramp, and it hasn't worked since in terms of anything romantic. Number 2, soup. You really can't look anything but sort of clumsy and old eating soup. You don't want to do that on a first date. Veal. That's like saying, yes, I'm cool with torturing baby farm animals. So maybe that's not the message you want to send. Burgers. Yeah, the grease, the sauce, the toppings. Burgers just squirt all over everything. Ribs, wings, fried chicken. Unless you're going to eat it with a knife and fork, probably not a good idea. Watermelon, corn on the cob. That should be pretty self-explanatory. Ice cream cones. I don't know. That's on the list, but I don't know about that. I think ice cream cone end of the night could be a nice thing. Mexican, Indian, Chinese, or Thai food. Well, that makes the mucous membranes act up and you start getting a runny nose. Now you're blowing your nose and that ain't any good. Number 9, garlic. Only if you're both having it. Got that from Rachel Ray. And number 10, spinach dip, parsley, or pesto sauce, because nothing is more of a turnoff than getting in your teeth, like that. By the way, the number 1 and the only objective of a first date is what? I've told you a million times. What is it? To get a second date. Because we all know what happens by the third date. All right, Weeds, 6th season premiere tonight on Showtime. Alanis Morissette returns. The Big C. Now, I've not seen this, but I've seen the promos. Laura Linney on Showtime plays a housewife and a teacher dying of skin cancer. Director James Cameron from Titanic and Avatar turns 56 today. He'll celebrate by releasing 9 additional minutes of footage from his last birthday. Also, Madonna, 52 today, and that's not going to get any better. On this date, 1977, Elvis fell off the throne 33 years ago. He would have been 75 today. All right, JC's Video Village, all new. We got Woody Allen. He performed at Gaslight Square way back in the day here in St. Louis. And back in 1997, he hired all these actors to do a movie called Everybody Says I Love You. And then when they all signed on, that's when he told them they were going to have to sing because it was a musical. So we have that for you. JC's Wayback Machine. I can't even keep track of how many radio station formats have appeared on 104.1. Extreme, The Mall, and back in 96 it was Alice, and we have the TV commercial they used to launch that project. Not necessarily the news this week is Steve Spagnuolo. JC's Eye Candy today. I guess you saw that Justin Bieber was performing on stage and somebody hit him in the head with a water bottle. Somebody's made a music video out of it using auto-tune. It's hilarious. Tomorrow, the return of Celebrity Tuesday and the 10 worst foods served in public schools. It's that back-to-school spirit, everybody. In the meantime, that's it. JC's Daily Dose for Monday, August 16th, 2010. A cooperative venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Brentwood. In the meantime, that's it. We've wrapped it up. We've beaten this one to death. Have a good one. See you later. Bye.